what we will finish here then is problem 12 in your homework, or 1-55. And this is these tables you have to fill in are great introductions to this unit conversion or dimensional analysis or factor label method of solving these problems. You're given a number or a measurement in one set of units, and you need to convert them into the other. And the key here is to always go to what's called the base unit. That's the unit without any prefixes. So in this case, it's the liter, right? There's a milliliter, that's milliliter. There's just a liter, and there's kiloliter. So the base unit has no prefixes, and it's what you want to go to first. So in this first case, so we know we start with 5.0 kiloliters. And what we want to end up with here are liters. So what we're given and what we want, and these are the units. So as we talked about in class, we multiply by a conversion factor that always has the unit we want to cancel on the bottom. So in this case, we want to cancel kiloliters. We want to be left with liters, so that goes on top. And then we decide which one's the big one, which one's the small one. Well, kilo means that's a big amount of liters. Liter is the base unit, so it will be for every 1 kiloliter, there is 1,000 liters. And that allows us to cancel those units because we really got kiloliters over kiloliters multiplied by liters cancels, leaves with the units we want. And then we do the arithmetic. So times 1,000, we just move that decimal place 3 places, and that becomes 5,000. Now, we had a decimal place here. We're going to move it so that we still have this is given to 2 significant figures. We're given to actually just 5 kiloliters. We have to worry about that's the significant digit. So this is really going to be, that's why it's expressed in the kiloliters. There are 2 significant digits here, and that's the problem. But this doesn't ask about significant digits. It says complete the table. So our next one, we now have 5,000 liters. That's why we go to the base unit, and what we want to end up now is milliliters. So we're given this now, and we want milliliters. So we're going to multiply by this conversion factor that has to have liters on the bottom to cancel those units. And we want to be left with milliliters, so that goes on top. Which one's the big one? The big one is liters, so that's the 1 goes there. And milli means 1,000, so there will be 1,000 of those little ones. And this becomes 5,000, essentially times 10 to the 3rd milliliters is what that is. Now you'd actually express that in scientific notation as 5.0 times 10 to the 6th milliliters. But that's how you do those problems. So you're going to start, in this case, you're given the base unit. So I'm going to go up here now for 0.358. That's the decimal right there. And that is liters. That's what I'm given. What I want, we're going to go either direction. We'll go to kiloliters first. I want that expressed in kiloliters. So I've got to multiply by a conversion factor that cancels liters, so that goes on the bottom, so I cancel those units. And I want to be left with kiloliters because that's what I want as my answer. Which one's the big one? The big one is kiloliter. That means there's 1 of those for every 1,000 of those. And now you're going to do that arithmetic, and that'll be your answer right there. And then that's where you fill in these tables. You actually always go to this base unit. So I like to start the table in the middle. If I have to start up here like I did here on the right, I go to that base unit, and then I go to milliliters. Because that saves me from having to know in one step how many milliliters there are in a kiloliter. I just memorize what the prefixes mean. We talked about this. Kiloliter means 10 to the 3rd liters, and so I know what those prefixes are, and they're put in front of a base unit. And that's why you always want to go to the base unit when you do these. Don't jump from something like kiloliters to milliliters in one step by looking it up or using Google or anything like that. Learn how to solve these problems, and the way you solve these problems, write down what you're given, write down what you want, define the conversion factor by looking at what digits you want to cancel and what digits you want to be left with, or what units you want to be left with, and then put in the right numbers to make that conversion factor true. Okay, that's it for problem 12 in this practice homework.